start my share screen. Good morning. Welcome to Technique Digital course. This is actually a 3 credits course. And within this course, we're going to have 14 classes. For the first class, we're going to explain about the set theory. Set in bahasa is called himpunan, and also the concept of digital world. And then next week we're going to discuss about the logic gate. And then the third week we're going to discuss about what is logic function and how to simplify the function using Boolean algebra. And then for the fourth midcap, we're going to use K-map or kernel map to simplify the logic function. So from the third week, we're going to simplify a logic function using Boolean algebra. And the fourth week, we're going to simplify the logic function using K-map. And then for the the fifth week, we're going to extend more about the K-map with the don't care concept. And then the last two classes, we're going to discuss about the numeric system, including the binary and also the hexadecimal. And how do we represent a negative value? How do we represent the fraction? And then how to use that number system in arithmetic. For example, how to add 110 in binary plus 011 also in binary, something like that. And then we're going to have the mid exam. For the mid exam, we're going to use the theory. So we're going to have the hand-in. Although we're not conclude yet about how we're going to present the mid exam. It could be either in the LMS or it could be in the Google Classroom or maybe using another platform. But in basically for the mid exam, we're going to have the theory exam. Okay, and then after the mid exam, we're going to discuss about the combinational circuit. So we're going to use you are given a function, a logic function, and then you're supposed to create the logic circuit using that function. Or it could be vice versa. You are given a logic circuit, and then you're supposed to calculate what is the logic function from that circuit. And then the second week after the mid exam, we're going to discuss about what is timing diagram for the combinational circuit, and then followed by the combinational circuit ready to use. For example, encoder, decoder, multiplexer, demultiplexer, adder, subtractor, etc. Okay, and then the last 4 classes, we're going to discuss about the finite state machine. Started by the flip-flop, how we're going to use flip-flop and how it works, and then the sequential machine concept, and then followed by the how to design a sequential machine. The last 4 classes is the basic foundation for your understanding the microprocessor. Why? Because microprocessor is basically a sequential machine. That's why in microprocessor, they have something like clock. Like clock, what I'm supposed to do. Another clock, now what I'm supposed to do. Another clock, now what I'm supposed to do. Something like that. That's what we call a sequential machine. So because it works based on the clock. So that's why maybe in your laptop, it probably you are going to use something like Intel processor like i3, and it provided with the clock like 1.8 gigahertz. That's the clock. The clock for the microprocessor to work. Okay, so this is our material for the Technique Digital. And for the material itself, you can download from my blog, nyamankarna.id, and then the teaching material or materi ajar, and then the Boolean algebra. in here. So we have set theory, and then logic operation, the axiom of Boolean algebra, K-map. For the fifth week, it's a class K method. It's supposed to optional. And then 6 and 7 is binary number system. It's numeric system. Okay, and then followed after the mid-exam, we're going to discuss about the finite state machine, starting with combinational logic, and then instability, flip-flop, etc. Okay. So you can download the teaching material from my blog. And then for the course itself, like I mentioned earlier in the WhatsApp group, it's not mandatory to be present in this class because I'm going to record every class and upload the recorded version to the YouTube. So you can watch it again when you have free time. But remember, we're going to have activity in the LMS for your presentation. Sorry, for your presence. So you're not supposed to, it's not mandatory to be present in this class, but for the presentations, you need to do the activity in the LMS. For example, like this, you need to do this assignment and then submit. If you do the activity, then I'm going to treat you as present in this class. But if you skip this assignment, then, well, basically you're not going to be present in this class. Okay, it's just a simple assignment. It's not going to be graded. So it's just for the attendance. Okay. And then from the campus policy, it said that for each credit, supposed to give the online class for maximum 30 minutes. So because we have 3 credits for this course, because Dana Digital is 3 credits, yeah, we have 3 credits for this class, for this course. So we're supposed to have the online class for maximum 3 times 30 minutes, so 1.5 hours. That's the maximum. And for the teaching material, like for example, let's say the logic gates, perhaps it's supposed to finish around 30 to 45 minutes. However, for the third week, simplify logic function using Boolean algebra, I think it will be more than 1.5 hours because it's quite difficult to understand how to simplify logic function using Boolean algebra. So that's why perhaps next week we're going to discuss about function logic, even though the function logic is supposed to be the third week, just to make it not more than 1.5 hours. Okay. I think that's it for the course code of conduct. Any question? If not, then
Sir, I want to ask a question.
yes, Azaria.
What do you think? How hard this course going to be?
The discourse. Okay. From 1 to 5, supposed to be 3. Why? Because I've already teaching this course since the year of 2000, so I already have experience for 20 years teaching this course. First, it's called Teknik Digital, and then it becomes the Boolean algebra and logic circuit, and then logic circuit, and then now it becomes Teknik Digital again. So based on my experience, students usually have a hard time for this third week, how to simplify function using Boolean algebra. And then the second hardest part is the how to design a sequential machine. So that's why I give 2 weeks to explain how to design the sequential machine. And for the third week, Boolean algebra, I'm going to explain it using maybe 3 weeks, starting from the next week, the third week, and also maybe we're going to use some part of the time for the fourth week. Okay, so on the scale of 1 to 5, it's 3. That's from my experience. Okay, now any other question? No?
No,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Now let's start our class. This is the introduction. My name is Nyoman Bugirita Karna. I already taught this course for more than 20 years because I started teaching at 1999. And the course is called, first it's called the Teknik Digital, and then around 2004 it became the logic circuit, or in Indonesia rangkaian logika. And then I believe around 2009 or 2010 it became the Boolean algebra and logic circuit, and now it became Teknik Digital again. Okay, it's 3 credits because it's quite difficult for some students because it use logical thinking from the students. Okay. This is the course description. We're going to have mid-exam, and then the final exam. Oh yeah, about the final exam, we're not going to use the theory exam. However, we're going to have a project using the online simulator. And then for the course, we're going to use application. So we have the C3 from the Bloom taxonomy. We have the level 3 because we're going to use a software tool for this course. The software tool is the tinkercad.com. For the reference, back from the year 2000, we're going to use the old, but still manageable, and because the content is still updated, we're using the Tinderbook for digital engineering design. It's available from the Open Library, although they're not providing the ebook. So you have to visit the library and then read it the hard copy by yourself. Okay, and the tool is tinkercad.com. Now let's start our material. For the first course, we're going to discuss about the set theory and Venn diagram. What is set? Set in bahasa is called himpunan. So set is a collection of distinct objects. Why it called distinct? Because we have to differentiate between one object with another object. For example, number 1 and number 2. We can easily distinguish between these two objects because 1 and the other one is 2. However, we cannot distinguish between objects like chicken and bird because they have some similarities. Like for example, they have 2 legs and they both have wings, etc. So that's why set is a collection of distinct objects, which means we can easily distinguish between one object with another. Like for example, number 1 and number 2. Okay, and the object inside a set is called the element or the members of the set. Now, if we want to declare a set, we're supposed to use the uppercase. For example, A. If A is a set, then we need to write down the A using uppercase. Okay. For example, like this. We use uppercase to explain that A is a set, while X is an object will be written using a lowercase. Okay. And then there is a special relationship between object and the set, which is this symbol. We explain that X is the object that belongs to set A. So if we want to draw using Venn diagram, this is set A. That means X is the object inside set A. And then Y is not a member of A. For example, like this. Okay. I still remember about set and theory of set and Venn diagram back from your high school. There are three ways to describe sets. For example, first is to list the element. Like for example, the first one. A is a set which have 6 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and also 6. That's one way to describe set. Another way is to give a verbal description. For example, A is the set of all integers in bahasa is called bilangan bulat from 1 to 6 inclusive. Or the third way to describe a set is by giving a mathematical rule. For example, like this. A is a set of integers where the member is called X and X is from 1 to 6. Okay, there are three ways to describe sets, but we prefer to use this because it's more, it's more obvious way to declare a list. Remember that list is similar like array in Python or in C, back from your Python programming and for the algorithm, programming and algorithm. Now, there's two special sets. One is the null set, which means a set that has no element or has no member at all. This is the symbol of null set. And also we have the universal set, which explains that this is the set of all elements under consideration. For example, A is a set of integers. So that means the universal set is all integers, while A is the integers only from 1 to 6, and the universe is the all integers, including 7, including 8, including 0, including -1, -2, etc. Okay, this is what we call universal set. And then we also have the relationship between set. Remember, this is the relationship between element or object with a set. Now we're going to discuss about relationship between set, one set to another. Here, first one is subset. We call A is a subset of B when A, all member of A, is within B. So this is A and this is B. And remember, we have the equal sign in here. So that's why if this is A and this is also B, we can also say that A is a subset of B. So it could be A within B or A is equal B. That is subset. And then we also have the another membership relationship, which is the proper subset. In proper subset, if this is A, then this is B. So there will be at least one object in B which is not a member of A. Let's say this one is X. So X is a member of B, but not a member of A. This is what we call proper subset. Okay. So in proper subset, B must be bigger than A. But in subset, B could be the same with A. Okay, that's the main difference between subset and proper subset. Okay. This is the relationship between the subset and proper subset. Let's say, for example, the first one, if A is a subset of B and B is a subset of C, that means A is also a subset of C. That's the theory. Okay. Let's say now let's discuss about the theorem number 2. Let's say this is a null set or an empty set, and then this is A. If A is not empty, let's call A has an object, let's say X, then this null set also a proper subset of A. Okay, that's the theorem. Now, power set. Power set is a number of a subset from a set. So power set is a number that count how many subsets we can come up from a set. Let's say, for example, we have a set which has the element of 1, 2, 3, and 4. The subset of this set is we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have a set that has the element of only 4. Okay, and then we also have 1 and 2, we also have 1 and 3, we also have 1 and 4, until we also have 2 and 3, we also have 2 and 4, and 3 and 4. And then we also have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and also the last one is the null set itself. So the number of subsets from this set is 16. This is the explanation. So if we have, let's say I have a set that has 1, 2, and 3. What is the power set of this set? So it will be 2 power of 3, which is 8. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 1, 2, we have 1, 3, we have 2, 3, we have 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the last one is the null set. Okay, so if we have a set that has 3 elements, the power set is 2 power of 3, which is 8. Now, previously we discussed about the relationship between one set with another. Now, can we use something like arithmetic to combine or to relate between one set to another? The first arithmetic function is the union. A union is the set of all elements that are in B or both. Okay, so in Venn diagram, if we have something like this is the universe, and then we have A, and then we have B. A union B is all member of A and also B. This is A union B. Okay. The second one is the intersect. Intersect is the set of all elements that are in both A and B. So it's a set A intersect B is a set that has the element from both A and B. So if we have this universe, this is A, and then this is B. The set that has A and also B is this one. So this is A intersect B. Okay. This is similar with the logical function AND, while union is similar to the logical function OR. It's just like adding everything from A and B. Add everything. That's OR or add. But in here, only that has A and also B that will the intersect. That's why it's called AND. A and B. It's similar like multiplication. The third relationship is the complement. Complement is all member that is not within this set. For example, if we have this as the universe and this is A, then not A is everything outside A. Okay? This is what we call complement. Now, difference. A minus B is the set that has the element of A but not in B. Element of A that not in B. So if we want to draw the Venn diagram, this is A and this is B. This is the universe. A minus B. So that means all member of A that not in B. This is A minus B. While B minus A is something like this. This is B minus A. A set that has the element of B but not in A. This is B minus A. While this one is A minus B. Okay. Now, this is an example. We have the universe of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, while A is 1, 2, 3, B is 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, first let's draw the Venn diagram. This is A, and this is B. A is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and B is 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now, A intersects B. What is the element that has, what is the set that has the element of A and also in B? From A and also in B. So the intersect is 3, because 3 is the only element that belongs to A and also belongs to B. Now, what is A union B? That means all the member of A and also the member of B. But remember, we only need to input 3 to write down 3 only once. So A union B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now, what is B minus A? B minus A is all the member of B, but not a member of A. The member of B is 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. However, 3 is a member of A. So that means B minus A is this one, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now, what is the complement of B? What is the set that has the element of outside B? This is B. Outside B is 1 and 2. So this is the set of not B. Okay. Now let's try another example. What is complement of A? It's a set of all elements that belongs to not A. A is 1, 2, 3. Outside 1, 2, 3 is 4, 5, 6. So not A is 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now, what is B minus, what is A minus B? What is the element, what is the set that has the element of A, but not a member of B? 3 is a member of B. So we have to exclude 3 from this operation. So the result is 1 and 2. Okay. Now this is the Venn diagram. They use this concept from our previous example. This is A, and this is not A. Now, what is A intersect B? It's this one. What is A union B? It's this one. All the member of A and also the member of B. What is A minus B? It's this one. And what is B minus A? It's this one. How about this one? Anyone?
No, sir.
We have several ways to describe this one. As we mentioned earlier, this part is similar like this, right? It's A minus B. So it's A minus B. And this part is similar like this, B minus A. So it's B minus A. So if we want to combine this one, it's similar like A minus B union with B minus A. Okay? And another way to represent this diagram is to remember that everything inside this, sorry, let me move to the left. Okay, let me erase first this one. Okay. Now remember that this part is A union B, right? And this part is A intersect B. So we can tell that this diagram is A union B minus A intersects B. Okay. So it's similar like, so we have two different ways to describe this diagram. We can use this one. It's A minus B union with B minus A. Or we can use, it's A union B minus A intersects B. Because A union B is the big one minus the intersect one.
Sir, how
Yes?
if I write down B complement union
Okay,
A
wait.
complement
B complement, then
union A complement? Is it the
union
same thing? A
B
complement.
A complement.
Yeah, is it the same thing as you?
Okay, let's try. Let's erase first this one. Now, B complement is outside this one. Okay. And then A complement is outside this one. Remember, it will be going to here. So B complement union A complement, it's like this. This is A and this is B, and then B complement is this is B complement union A complement. Sorry, this is A complement. So it's everything in the universe outside this part. So it's almost the same. However, by using B complement union A complement, it will include all the elements in here.
Oh, I got it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So if this one is an empty set, then that will be correct. So if there is no member, so if A union B is the universe, then it's correct. But if there is a member in here, let's say this one has 5, and then there is minus 100 in here, then it will be incorrect. Okay, almost the same. Thank you, dear. Okay, now let's try to move on. Now we have the something that called mutually exclusive and also the exhaustive set. We call one set with another set is exhaustive if we union both set, then we can call it as another set. For example, if A union B is C, then we can call that A and B are exhaustive with C. So if we have this is A and this is B, A union B is also C. That's when we call A and B are exhaustive with respect to C. Okay. Now, the second concept is the mutually exclusive. Mutually exclusive is when A intersects B is null. That means if this is A, then this is B. There is no intersection. That's why A intersects B is a null. Okay, so we have two concepts. One is the exhaustive, and the second one is mutually exclusive. Why we have to describe about this is because we're going to explain about the something that called partition. Partition is when we have a set, then we're going to break apart this set, but each of the subset is supposed to be mutually exclusive and also exhaustive. This is the explanation about partition. As we can see in here, we have a set of W, X, and also Y. If we union all these three sets, W, union X, union Y, it's called set A. That means W, X, and Y is exhaustive from A. And then we can also see that W, X, and Y, they have no intersection. So W, X, and Y is mutually exclusive because W intersects A, X is null. W intersects with Y is also null. And X intersects with Y is also null. So that's when we call W, X, and Y are the partition of A. Okay, it's just like, let's call it a window. And then we're going to create a partition. That means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 set. They are going to be mutually exclusive and also exhaustive. That's what we call partition. Okay, I hope that remind you of how we explain the partition. It's just like a window. Now, this is some test question. What is A union null? What is the answer of A union null? We have set A, and we're going to union this set A with something empty. So the answer is A itself. Because A union with nothing is A. Okay. Now, what is A union complement of A. This is A. This is not A. If we combine those two Venn diagram, the result will be, this is A, the result will be this. Everything. Okay? So A union complement of A is the universe. Now, what is A intersects with nothing? Anyone? I have A. Let's call this A. And intersects with nothing.
Nothing, sir.
The answer is nothing, sir.
No.
The answer is nothing. Because we need to describe a set that has the element of A and also the element of nothing. Nothing has no element, so the result is nothing. Very good. Now, what is A minus complement of A? Say this is A. And then this is nothing. Now, what is the element that has the member of A, but also not a member of not A? So what is the set that is the member of A in here, but not a member of this one?
A, sir.
Very good. Because A minus outside A is the A itself. Remember that if this is A and this is B, A minus B is this part. Okay. Now, what is the intersect of A with complement of A? This is A. And then this is not A. What is the element that has the element? What is the set? Sorry, what is the set that has the element of A and also the element of not A?
Universe?
Nothing, sir.
Do they have intersection?
Intersection.
There is no intersection, so the answer is
Nothing.
no, nothing. Okay. Now, next one. What is A union universe? This is A. And this is universe. What is A union universe?
Universal.
Correct. Now, what is A intersects with universe? This is A. And this is the universe. What is the set that has the element of A and also the element of universe?
A, sir.
Yes, correct. It's A. Because A intersects with everything is the A itself. The member of A that also the member of everything universe. So that's the A itself. Now, if A is a proper subset of B, okay, if A is a proper subset of B, then A intersects with B is, what is the element
A.
of A that also
A.
the element of B? The answer is A. Now, if A, this is A, is a proper subset of B, then what is A union B? A union with B. It's the B itself. Because A together with the B is the B itself. Okay. After this, we have another topic because we need to explain about okay. We need to explain about the wait, this is my processor. This is the Tenaga Digital. Because based on the RPS, this one, I need to explain about the analog signal with digital signal. We have another 5 minutes to explain about this. After this, because the set theory, we will explain about set theory, Venn diagram, and the operation for the set. And then I need to explain about the analog signal and also digital signal. Next, we're going to discuss about the logic gates. Now back to our, where is the, okay. Let me add one more slide in here. Now I'm going to draw in here. So I believe you already took the Rangkaian Listrik course. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about electronica?
This
Did you
semester,
took
sir.
did you take the
This
electronica? Not yet.
This semester.
This semester.
Yeah.
This semester. Okay, that's great. Because both courses explain about something that called the analog signal. Usually we describe or draw. Sorry. Wait. Usually we describe or draw an analog signal. Oh, great. Wait. My pen actually. Okay. Okay, how about those? Okay, good. Now, usually we describe or draw a signal using two domains. The first one is the time domain. And using something like a second or millisecond, something like this. And then we also have the other domain, which is the amplitude. And usually we use volt in here. And then in Rangkaian Listrik and then the electronica, we usually describe using a signal, something like this. As we can see in here, when time 0, the amplitude is 0 volt. And at time is 10 seconds, the amplitude is 5 volt, for example. And In 15 seconds, the amplitude is, let's say, 3 volt. And then when in 20 seconds, in time, the time is 20 seconds, the amplitude is, let's say, 10 volt. So as we can see in here, in time domain, all time is exists. Okay. For example, in time is 10 seconds, there is a signal. In time is 1 second, in here, sorry. When the time is 1 second, there is also a signal. 2 seconds, yes, there's a signal. 3 seconds, yes, there's a signal. 5, how about 5.1, 5.15, 5.11115? Yes, we have signal in every time. That's what we call the time domain has a continuous characteristic. How about the amplitude domain? We have 0 volt. We have maybe 1.1 volt. We have also 1.7 volt. We also have 1.771115 volt, etc. So basically, the amplitude domain, we also have all the range of volt. 0, 0.1, 0.115, etc. So the amplitude domain also has the continuous characteristic. Okay. Now, how about if we find something signal, something like this. This is the time domain, and this is the amplitude domain. We have a signal something like this. So, using this signal, the time domain, it only exists only for several value. For example, the signal only exists on time is 0, time is 1, time is 2, the time is 3, the time is 4, 5, 6, and also 7. There is no signal whatsoever when the time is 0.5. There is no signal when the time is 0.1. There is no signal when the time is 1.5. So, in this case, the time domain, we call it discrete. Okay. Now, how about the amplitude domain? Same thing. In amplitude domain, they only have 0 volt and also 5 volt. There is no 4.9 volt. There is no 5.001 volt. Only exactly 0 volt and also 5 volt. Only either one. There are no other values. So in this case, the amplitude domain also has a discrete characteristic. Okay. Now, so we have a continuous where the signal always available, and also we have discrete. the signal only available at a certain value. That's what we call discrete. Now, you're going to discuss about this kind of signal. Sorry. You're going to discuss about this kind of signal. Okay, wait. Only about the battery last month. How can you already depleted? Now, you're going to discuss about this kind of signal in rangkaian listrik and also in electronica. And you're going to discuss about this kind of signal in the course called PSWD, pengolahan sinyal waktu digital. We're going to discuss about what is correlation, what is convolutional, what is autocorrelation, what is autoconventional. It's just mathematics. And you're going to discuss about this type of signal in PSWD. Okay. It's very beneficial because when you start learning about something called AI, machine learning, you're going to need the basic foundation or understanding about what is correlation and what is convolutional. Because what is the basic idea of AI? Now, we have this type of signal, and also we have the second type of signal. We also have another two types of signal. The first one is something like this. Where the time is discrete, but the amplitude is continuous. So the time is discrete, but the amplitude is continuous. And the last signal is something like this. Where the time is continuous, however, the amplitude is discrete. Now, in Tiny Digital, we're going to discuss this type of signal. Although it's called digital, digital is supposed to be this one. But in this course, we're going to discuss. We're going to, well, let's say we're going to agree that this is the digital signal. Although for some people, they're going to say, no, this one is not digital. This is the digital signal. Well, it's just we agree for not agreeing. Okay. So in this course, we're going to discuss this type of signal. Now, this is what we call analog signal. So we have analog signal where the time also the amplitude are both continuous. And for the digital signal, in technique, we're going to use this signal where the time is continuous, but the amplitude is discrete, only 0 and plus 5 volt. But in pengolahan sinyal, This is what they call digital signal. Okay, just agree to not agree. Okay, now usually we heard about how to transform the analog signal to digital signal. How is the ADC, analog to digital converter works? How the ADC works? Basically, first we're going to sample this analog signal. Okay, let's use another color. So we're going to first sample this analog signal to become this type of signal. The time is discrete because clock is time to sample. 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 But the result of the sampling is still on continuous fault. For example, this is 0.7 and this is 0.8. It could be 0.881, etc. After the sampling process, we have another process that we call quantization. It's the process to make the amplitude to become discrete. So first, sampling is the process to make the time domain to become discrete. Now, quantization is the process to make the amplitude to become discrete, from continuous to discrete. So, this is what we call quantization, or for the pengolahan sinyal, this is the quantization. Okay, this is what we call what is analog signal and what is digital signal, and how to transform from the analog signal to become digital signal. They have two processes. First one is sampling, is to make the time domain to become discrete, and the second one is quantization, is to make the amplitude domain to become discrete. I only understand 0 and plus 5 volt, etc., something like that. Okay. Any questions so far? That's all the material for today. We already discussed about the set theory, and then the operation between set, and also the Venn diagram, and also the concept of analog and digital signal, and also how to transform the analog signal to become digital signal. Okay. Please, if you have any question. Yes.
You said before we need to learn. I forgot. We need to learn what to master AI, sir, or machine learning.
Yes.
What we need to learn the basic in this course.
From this course.
Yes.
Actually, from this course, you have nothing to learn for the foundation to learn machine learning, because it's just a separate type of knowledge tree.
Sorry, sir. I mean to you said that we need to learn something to untuk belajar AI sama machine learning basicnya.
Okay, good question. In AI, everything supposed to be digital, so the machine can learn the data. So that's why we rarely see the machine learning or the AI learn from analog signal. They usually learn from digital information. So that's why if we have an analog type of information, we need to first transform the analog signal or analog information to become digital information. That's when the AI able to learn. And then when the AI want to learn this digital information, they use some type of algorithm. several algorithm is what we call convolutional and also correlation. Let's type it again in here. So we have something that called okay, we have the, okay, it's a little bit difficult to use laptop, to use mouse. It's something that we call correlation. And also something that called convolutional. Convolutional. Sorry. Okay. Correlation is just like what is the relation between this information with another information. There is something that the machine learning do, the AI do. What is the relation between this information with the previous information? Or what is the relation between this information with the two information before that? Or three information before that? That's what we call relation. That's what the AI do. And the convolutional is just like, I have this block of digital information. What can we learn from this block of information? So we need to use the convolutional to extract some information or some knowledge from this block of information. Oh, I believe using this convolutional method, then this block of information is something that we call it's a tree, or it's a dog, or it's a human face. It's something like that. So let's say we have a big picture. There is two kids playing ball with a dog, and then there is two adults. One is sitting on a bench, and one is just reading something, but by walking, standing and walking. So based on this image, we can use, okay, let's try to learn this block of information. Oh, it's a sky. What is this block of information? Oh, it's also a sky, but with clouds. How about this block of information? Oh, it's a dog, a white furry dog, and it has a ball in his mouth. And how about this block of information? Oh, it's a man sitting on a bench. On a bench, it's something like that. That's what we call convolutional. We pick block of information and try to learn what is inside this information. That's convolution. Just using this block and then another block. How about this block? Some part of the first block and some part of the second block. Can we get another information from this? That's what we call convolutional. Okay, that's when you're going to learn from PSVD, not in this course. Because in PSVD, you're going to discuss about this type of signal. But in here, we're going to discuss this type of signal. Okay, I think that's explained about what's the relation between this course with the AI. No relation whatsoever. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, I think that will conclude our class for our first class because already more than 1 hour. I supposed to have not more than 1.5 hours. Okay, I think that's it for today. Thank you for coming. I will upload and provide the link to the WhatsApp group. Okay, thank you and morning.
Morning, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Morning, sir.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.